guys, this video is my long-awaited senior year advice. If you are a rising freshman, sophomore, or junior, I have videos with advice specific to each grade in a playlist I will link up above in the cards and in the description box below. So definitely check those out if you aren't a senior. If you are, congratulations, you've made it to your last full year of high school. For those who aren't in the United States, senior year is also known as 12th grade, and it's typically when you are 17 turning 18. It's the last year before you go to college or university. It's an extremely busy year. You have to worry about college applications or your applications to whatever your post-secondary plans are, and you also have to deal with like scholarships, with graduation prep. Usually your school will have you do rehearsals or make sure you're meeting certain requirements, all sorts of things. You are also the oldest members of the student body, which is sort of a huge responsibility in terms of being a good example and just sort of being accountable for yourself. And all of a sudden, the life after high school becomes a huge, real, reality that you have to deal with because it's only a couple months away. This video will be sort of broken into two parts. The advice I have for you for the summer before senior year, which is right about now, as well as advice for during the school year itself. So first of all, if you have summer homework or summer assignments that you need to get done, I would absolutely recommend that you make sure you finish all of that on time, and you don't have to worry about that as much towards the end of the summer when you're going to have a lot more going on. If you want to see how I managed my summer assignments for the summer before my senior year, definitely check out my summer study routine video. I will link it down below, and that really showed how I managed my time and stayed productive and motivated. I would also recommend that you have a completely solid list of all of the schools that you are going to apply to this summer, just because that'll sort of take care of a lot of your stress. I think that I was really worried about the fact that I didn't have an entirely sure list of the schools I wanted to apply to at the end of my junior year, so I made it a priority to really decide that over the summer. You want to make sure you have a mix of safety, match, and reach schools. Safety schools are ones where you feel like your test scores and GPA are much higher than the average accepted student, so you have a pretty good chance of getting in. Match is when you are about the average applicant that would be accepted, and a reach school is where your scores and GPA might be a little bit below or very below the average accepted student. And for most people, a reach school would be something like an Ivy League or something of that caliber. It's a good idea to have a mix of all three, just because you will increase your chances of getting a different amount of scholarship money, and it's always better to be safe than sorry and have a backup plan. During the summer, I would absolutely recommend making a spreadsheet to organize your colleges or scholarship information, and I did this on Google Sheets, which is completely free and online. I used it to organize all of the different schools that I was deciding whether I should apply to or not. So it was a very large list, and I had categories like the distance away from home, the cost of attendance, the average accepted test scores and GPA, stuff like that. So I could really organize based on those factors, and that just really helped a lot. I shared that sheet with my parents so that way they could also view it and edit it, and we could all discuss stuff like that. I would also recommend taking some time to look up the Appler community on Tumblr. It's a group of blogs that focus on giving advice, resources, and information about the college application process. And there's a ton of information on there, so I would totally recommend reading all of it, absorbing all of it, but not getting overwhelmed or feeling like you need to do everything that everyone is telling you to do. I would also make sure you decide if you are applying to your school's early action, early decision, or regular decision. You can only apply to one school early decision with a couple of exceptions because that's a legally binding contract that you enter. If you're accepted to that school, you must go to that one. Early action and regular decision are basically the same thing, but early action is going to be much earlier, as the name states, and the only sort of con with that is that when you apply early action, most of the time the university will not see your first semester senior grades before you apply, and so that isn't like a deciding factor in your process. But if you have really solid grades from 9th to 11th grade, then that shouldn't be a worry for you. If you feel like it would be helpful for college to see your first semester grades from senior year, and you also want a little bit more time to focus on your essays and making your application as strong as possible, then regular decision would be the way to go. Not all schools offer all three options, and you really have to make good decisions and research each school to figure out which is best for you. Another obvious thing that you should be starting to look at over the summer is to be starting the common application, which opens August 1st, and school-specific supplements or a school-specific application. And a lot of the times the prompts for those are released early and should be out now. The Common App essays themselves have prompts that are released every February, so those are actually already out for this upcoming school year. So if you are a senior right now, I would recommend finishing this video and going to at least look at those prompts right away, just so you can start brainstorming. I wish I had started my essays and supplements earlier than I did. By the time school started, I had my common application essay done and in the editing and revising stage, but I hadn't really started all of my supplements, so I had to juggle those during the school year. I would absolutely recommend doing as much as you can in terms of college applications before first semester of senior year hits you like a truck, because your teachers aren't really going to be super lenient, and you will have a lot of schoolwork for your classes on top of all of your college applications. This last thing that I would recommend doing the summer before your senior year might seem super simple and super obvious if you've been subscribed to my channel for a long time, but I would absolutely say that starting a monthly planner or a calendar, if you don't already use one, is essential. Senior year, especially first semester, is so busy, so overwhelming, and you have a lot to keep track on. And I would definitely recommend going on every college website that you are applying to and mark all of the deadlines that you need to worry about, whether it's the deadline for the application itself, the deadline for a specific supplement, etc. I would also recommend writing in all of your last minute standardized test dates if you're taking the SAT or ACT during senior year. I didn't have to worry about that because I just kept my score that I received junior year. I would also make sure to mark the times that you need to get all of your transcript requests and things like that in, like your letter of recommendations and your transcripts. You might want to turn in a couple of weeks before the actual application deadline, because sometimes there is a little bit of time to process, and same with sending your scores for standardized testing. So make sure you're really covering all of that. I would also make sure you set yourself early deadlines for all of your essays and applications. For my early action applications that were due like November 1st, I actually had all of those in by October 15th and actually had that 2-week gap where I didn't really need to worry about them anymore, just because I didn't want to have no time left in case if my application didn't fully go through or my file wasn't full or something to that effect. So I think earlier is always better. I had all of my regular decision applications done by November. So after all of your applications are in, you're really going to have a lot of time to relax and enjoy, but you really want to get in early, because I found that schools with deadlines in January and February, you want to apply to as early as you possibly can, because you'll be higher up in the stack of applications that a reader will look at, and you might have a better chance of being accepted at that school because they haven't seen as many applications, they haven't decided as many people for admission. So it's always important to apply as early as you possibly can, no matter the deadline. Now for my advice for senior year itself, I would recommend continuing your involvement with your extracurriculars. It'd be a great idea to take on a leadership position or take on more responsibility and increase your involvement in that way. I would also recommend volunteering, like I said in my previous high school advice videos. Community service is so rewarding, a wonderful experience that anyone of any age should definitely engage in. And I would also recommend increasing your coursework and increasing your course rigor, because colleges tend to want to see an upward trajectory in terms of your difficulty of classes. I took the most amount of APs my senior year, And take your senior grade seriously, because the colleges you're applying to and eventually decide on going to will see your entire senior year transcript, so don't slack too much. Don't let anxiety about the future rule your life. Live in the moment and focus on the now. I would so recommend focusing on making memories and taking lots and lots and lots of photos. I have an insane amount of photos of my friends and I from senior year. Like almost any cute Snapchat I would take, I would save. And honestly, if your phone storage or camera storage or whatever is problematic and you don't have enough room to continually be taking pictures and stuff, definitely check out Google Photos. I didn't really know about that until this year, but it's a totally free thing Google has that has unlimited storage if you choose one of the options. And it's free, and I used that to back up all my photos and videos so I could delete them off my phone, still have them available in the cloud, and take more and more photos. During senior year itself, you will still have college essay things to be doing, whether it's writing them, editing them, or revising them. So I have an entirely detailed college essay advice video that I give you all of my really detailed advice on that, and I can link that in the cards and in the description box down below. My main tip for the editing and revising would be to make sure you're maintaining your voice while others edit it. So I had my parents and one of my teachers read all of my essays, and that was really helpful, and I made sure I didn't ask too many people so that there would be so many changes in my essay that it wouldn't sound like the original one. My next piece of advice is more of a PSA, if you will, and that is senioritis is very likely to happen. It can even happen to you. It happened to me. I thought as a junior that I was super motivated and organized and disciplined, that I would never have to deal with not caring as much as I normally would. So just make sure you're aware of it. Don't let it tank your grades. Make sure you're still finishing your school year off the way you want to. My end of the year grades I was really, really proud of, but I did take a little bit of a dip in terms of how much I was motivated and cared about that, just because as soon as I found out my acceptance to my first choice school, it felt like high school didn't matter. I was already in college, but make sure you're curbing those thoughts. You're allowed to enjoy once you've already completed all of your college applications, but make sure you're finishing the year out the way you want to. This piece of advice sort of branches off the aforementioned senioritis idea, and that's the fact that you should remember that hard work is not a bad thing. There's a good chance your friends, peers, and classmates will also be suffering from some degree of senioritis or just being super excited for the future and not really caring about senior year itself. Remember that you will feel really, really fulfilled and satisfied when you succeed, get all the grades that you want, that you've worked hard for, and that slacking isn't really that cool or worth it, and you're only cheating yourself in the end. This last piece of advice I want to leave you all with is actually from a Tumblr follower of mine. Last summer, I received a bunch of messages from my followers and subscribers with their advice for me because I was a rising senior at the time, and I'm just gonna read this to you. Enjoy senior year and spend time with your friends. Soak it up. Soak them up. Soak up the halls, the classrooms, the teachers. Go to all of the senior events, even if they're, quote, lame or silly, and cherish school traditions. If you have an OMG, I'm getting really emotional, I'm leaving everybody type of moment, roll with it and let it out. Work hard, start college applications early, but please remember to breathe, slow down, and enjoy senior year. Good luck, guys!